Hey guys, thanks for tuning into another video. This one is interesting as predicted. I know a lot of people that were pushing sort of the pro-Ahsoka crowd, I guess I should say, pushing this idea that, but look, everyone's watching it, it's so popular. Well, that is starting to change. And much like, Mando's ratings just slowly deteriorated from the premieres as well. And this is from Bounding Into Comics, who is, I consider a friend. Ahsoka viewership falls off Nielsen's overall top 10 chart. Second week nearly identical to Andor that was chasing the audience. Now, it's important to understand that we get this information way late. Like, this is not giving us the ratings from Tuesday, for example, the last episode. This is going to go back a few weeks. Lucasfilm's Ahsoka fell off the 10 charts. In its first week of release, the first episodes of Ahsoka racked up 829 million minutes, which was good for 5th on Nielsen's top 10 overall chart. So as you can see, you had Grey's Anatomy, Bluey, whatever the heck Bluey is. Other newcomers to the top 10 included Netflix's You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, SWAT, and The Big Bang Theory. So literally reruns of The Big Bang Theory. Are those reruns? I think they are. They're getting... Seriously? So reruns of The Big Bang Theory got more minutes viewed in Ahsoka's second week than Ahsoka did, a Star Wars show. Think about how bad that is. I don't even want a Bluey, whatever. Like, wow. What a waste. Reruns? In order to find Ahsoka, one has to look at Nielsen's top 10 originals list, where the series took the 5th spot with 487 million minutes viewed. Wow. It was bested by One Piece, Who is Aaron Carter, The Ultimatum, Marry or Move On, and The Wheel of Time. Okay. Interestingly, if one does a simple minutes viewed divided by the runtime, one would think that Ahsoka's viewership might have increased by nearly 5 million people. In the first week, the first 2 episodes were released with a total runtime of 101 minutes. If you plug in 829 million minutes viewed to that equation, that comes to 8.2 million. Using the same equation for the third episode, you divide blah, blah, blah. You get 13.1 million. However, YouTuber and financial analyst Vigilant Renegade points out that Nielsen's reporting is not just tracking watch time for the third episode, but includes the previous 2 episodes as well. Well, yeah, of course it does, because you can see here it's saying how many episodes of these shows are. So somebody would come on and say, is new to Grey's Anatomy. They might, out of the 870 million minutes, maybe only like 25 or 30 are from the first episode, right? And then onward and upward. But yeah, that's exactly the case. It's including people that came on late the second week and caught all 3 episodes, right? Or the previous episodes. I know guys on Twitter I follow all the time and tell me, oh, I haven't started it yet and I'm on like episode 5. So that includes that. So it actually makes it pretty bad. Then there's the question of how many times were those first 2 episodes rewatched in this second measurement week to get up to episode 3, or how many new people came in this week having never seen episode 1 and 2 in the first week of release and catching it now. All of that factors into the 487 million minutes watched. Absolutely. I mean, Star Wars Theory watches them like 3 times. He tweets about it all the time. Meaning that number is not strictly the third episode. That's the cumulative total of every bit of consumption of Ahsoka from Monday morning at midnight through the end of the second week. Which means this is really bad, folks. He then provided an example. To give you an example, let's say 15% of that watch time, that 487 million minutes, were people who either watched the first 2 episodes for the first time, or people who went back and reconsumed those first 2 episodes a second time in anticipation of watching the third. Renegade asserts that brings the actual watch time for this episode way down, and that's at only 15%. Let's say the number was 25%. Yeah, exactly. Interestingly, the Nielsen numbers covering the week of Ahsoka's third episode are similar to what we saw from Andor back in September of last year. Andor's premiere week, which saw the release of the show's first 3 episodes, saw the show bring in 624 million minutes and place 6th on Nielsen's original chart, failing to break into the top 10 on the overall chart. Andor's second week, the series only brought in 485 million. That's nearly identical to Ahsoka's minutes. How did Andor showrunner Tony Gilroy react to the viewership numbers? He told Variety, I think I was surprised. I thought the show would go the other way. We would have this gigantic, instantaneous audience that would just be everywhere, but that it would take forever for non-Star Wars people or critics or my cohort friends to get involved in the show. The opposite happened. We ended up with all of this critical praise, all this deep appreciation and understanding from really surprising number of sources, and we're chasing the audience. Gilroy claimed Andor was chasing the audience, and it had a nearly identical performance to Ahsoka in its second week on the Nielsen charts. It calls into question Lucasfilm's praise of the series. Viewership in reaction to Samba's TV reported Ahsoka was indeed performing at Andor levels. And this is exactly what's happened with Ahsoka. The critics say it's just so amazing. It's great. Watch it. They got all the media backing them, telling you to watch it. And most people that have watched it think it sucks. If you recall, Samber TV reported the latest Star Wars series, Ahsoka, finally hit screens with 1.2 million U.S. households watching over the first 6 days. It's similar to viewership of Andor's premiere season and slightly lower than Mandalorian's third season premiere over its first. This is bad, you guys. They are burying this IP. In response to this, Lucasfilm declared Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company are thrilled and humbled to announce that Part 1 of Ahsoka, Master and Apprentice was the most watched title on Disney this past week. The debut garnered 14 million views. Kathleen Kennedy added, Ahsoka has become a fan favorite with people of all ages. It's wonderful to see her continue to resonate with viewers in her very own headlining series. But it's just going to get worse. I actually think this show, the ratings are just going to get worse and worse. It's not going to be like, it'll eventually level off with the shills and the people that are like, just, it doesn't matter what they do, they're going to watch and think it's great, but I do think it's going to keep going down for a little while still. I want to recognize the fantastic work done by our creative team led by Dave Filoni, blah, blah, blah. I didn't know Favreau was involved in Ahsoka, really. I thought it was just all Filoni. Kind of sad to see that, actually. Favreau's made his mistakes, but he's nowhere near baloney levels. The YouTuber WDW Pro reacted to this in a recent video uploaded called the Walt Disney Company out, saying, perhaps this will catch the ire of investors now. Disney has done something more severe, and that is that at the same time that we've learned all this arguing over ratings, now writers and actors are going to know the ratings for shows and be benefited based on that, and now advertisers are going to know the ratings for shows so they can pay the right amounts and not be deceived and not be paying incorrect values for shows that are popular or unpopular. Disney is out there giving us information that does not line up with anything else we're hearing. Samba TV, I give you a gold star on this. You got it right. And unfortunately, Disney probably knew that as they were maligning what you said. And that is a bad mouse, he declared. Wow. You know, guys, this isn't surprising. You can only placate and do, mediocre stories for so long before people finally have had enough. And I think it's funny to me because people like, Ahsoka's so popular, and Ahsoka, like, she's got to be running up for, like, the most screen time of any Star Wars character ever now. And everyone loved her, and it's like, they just did a bad job. And I also want you guys to keep in mind, like, this is getting, as of the second week anyway, the same ratings that Andor got. And just stop for a second and think about that. So you've got a character that was like a mainstay main character on a show that was on for years on TV, was extremely popular, and the anticipation for her to have her own show was huge. And you compare that to Andor, which is a show about a supporting role character in Rogue One, who's not a Jedi. He's not particularly likable even, really. He's just a guy. He's a rebel. So imagine that for a second. Just stop and think. So that's how far it's fallen. So you got a guy, you got the same ratings for Ahsoka, you guys, especially you guys that really like Ahsoka. Like, think of how terrible that is. What is that saying? It's over, man. They are burying this IP. It's done. They need to sell it. It's never going to work when you take something that's beloved, right? So you take the Thrawn series, that's beloved, and the guys that read that and are into that are like really into it. Like, they swear that it's like the best Star Wars books ever, right? And then you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna incorporate that story in my story. Like, if you had just done that story, all those fans would be like, sweet, and they'd be watching it and they'd be paying money and they'd be buying the merchandise and buying the toys. But you took it and you thought to yourself, I'm gonna get those fans excited and watching while also getting my Clone Wars Ahsoka people excited, and then you decided to merge the stories? What? Like, who thinks to do something like that and thinks it's going to be good? Because the only answer is now the Thrawn people are going to be disappointed, right? The people that liked Heir to the Empire are disappointed. They're especially disappointed because Luke's not even in this story. Ahsoka's essentially taken his place. But they're also super dumbfounded that you wrote this other weaker story with these Rebels characters that have nothing to do with it and inserted them into it, and you changed it. Now you've also alienated the people like me that are like, why wouldn't Luke be involved here? He's still around. Ahsoka knows where he is. This doesn't make any sense. And then you've also, in some respects, certain Ahsoka fans you've alienated because some of them are like, well, this isn't really her, and this is kind of a dumb story, and I don't really like it. There was no way that you were going to merge all of these things together. Ahsoka from Clone Wars, Rebels, and Heir to the Empire, and it was going to work. There's a point where you as a writer have to say, you know, I'm not good enough to make that work because it's not realistic, right? And I feel like you'd have to have quite a bit of ego to think you're going to make that work. So all that to say, it's not working. If it gets Andor level ratings, it's an absolute failure. This is Star Wars. This should be huge ratings. It should be number one every week on every chart, on everything. It should never be below that. Think about what this IP once was, for those of us old enough to remember. So all that to say, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think. If you think that it's going to keep getting worse, if it's going to level off, you like the show, don't like the show, whatever you think. Either way, it's not a success based on what we're seeing so far. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you do like this content, please like, subscribe. It really helps the channel. Check out any of my other content, Star Wars content, sequels reimagined, as well as I have some other stuff as well. And thank you for watching, and have a good day.